Probably the most static example here would be a body lock. So Grant's going to get a full body lock. Okay. We do have Kimuras on both sides, right? Most of the ones we're going to be doing are on the inside, meaning between us, okay? The outside one, nothing here, hence the outside one. That's going to be our last technique, okay? So we're only focusing on this arm right now, okay? So what I'm going to look to do here, okay? I'm always hand fighting. I'm always looking for the Granby from last week, okay? As I'm doing that, I'm looking for space here to slip this hand in, okay? If you were in the basics class, I showed this one-handed grip with your pinky down. So if Grant unlocks his hands here, and he goes to move this arm around, so you have pretty good leverage over this, okay? I'm not doing stuff like this right now, okay? It's a very weak position for our wrist, okay? I'm right here, okay? Go ahead, lock your hands, please. All right, so his hands are locked, so we're still gonna keep the same principle from last week, which is a Granby roll, okay? The only difference is we have this grip now, okay? So I'm starting to step up and walk out, okay? I'm gonna start to dip my shoulder once I can't walk out anymore. I'm rolling over, kicking my legs through, and just like last week, we're still looking to cross hook the leg, okay? Now, when I feel him start to settle here and accept this, this is when I'm gonna choose to just attack the basic Kimura, okay? I'm gonna kind of gloss over this part, right? Push the wrist down, elbows down, meet the hands, remember reach for the knuckles. Walking, so our right hip's over the shoulder, okay? Stepping up, using that to lift the shoulder, tuck the wrist, step over the head, and there's our finish, okay? That's what we did in the basics class. Yeah, I got nothing today. All right, so I'm gonna step up. Remember, this is important, okay? I need to have a post here so I don't get collapsed. I'm using this like a heel hook to scoop his elbow to get that one-handed grip, okay? We'll talk about later if he unlocks his hands, okay? Remember, we're not gonna grab you if he unlocks his hands. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later, okay? But for now, his hands are locked. Kick over. I find that cross hook on the leg, okay? Guys, don't do this. I see this a lot throughout the week. Don't attack the Kimura right here. You're not on top, okay? That's gonna feed into the next reaction, actually. That's a big reason I want you pulling on this leg so you can really get to a solid top position, okay? And from here, got it down. And if you were in the basics class, everything's the same here. Make sense? All right, cool. So start to build my base. Guys, very important to, again, walk out perpendicular. If you try to roll here, it's going to be really awkward and hard. You need to walk out as much as you can, okay? And that makes that roll way easier, okay? Second point for that roll, okay? Let's say I go to roll and I get stuck on this side, okay, and I'm worried about him taking my back, okay? I'm not worried about him taking my back. Reason being, my hips are higher than this. Go ahead, Grant, put your hooks in. Go for a seatbelt there. Not a, yeah, it's kind of laughable. And it's almost good if he does stuff like this, because it's going to lead to entries where we can start to attack his legs too. Okay? So that's not a favorable position for him to try to attack me from behind. Whenever my hips are so much higher than his hips, he needs my hips significantly lower than that to take my back. Okay? So don't worry about that too much. All right? Now let's talk about the Kimura. Okay? So, when do I do a basic one where I walk here, I drop my hip and step over, and when do I do a north-south? The answer is simple. If I'm able to get Grant's hand to the floor, I'm doing a basic Kimura, okay? It's also going to make it harder to pull him to a north-south position from here, because his arm is not attached to his body, okay? So if I'm here and I go to pull him to north-south and he keeps his arm away from me, and he stays heavy on my trap, just stay heavy on your back. Don't even defend. You don't need to grab. His arm's moving, but his body isn't. See? Okay? And you can see if he just starts doing stuff here, he's probably going to get out if you do this. I'm only going to go to my knees when he grabs his belt, or he locks his hands. Because now, his arm is attached to his body. You guys see the difference? That's how you differentiate a normal side control Kimura and the north-south Kimura. Okay? It's good to be good at both, and it's good to like both. Alright, so that aside, okay, from here, somebody who's patient on the ground, on the bottom, has good defense, okay? You might feel them settle, but at any point, as soon as you give him control back of his legs, he's gonna look to split his legs and come on top of you with this body lock, okay? As he does, I'm gonna still look to catch his wrist. As I'm doing this, I'm throwing my outside leg over his knee to control his lower body, okay? Now from here, Grant, start to posture a little bit. Okay, see, I don't have control of his upper body. So to really get that detail strong, I need a shoulder to drop. In order for his shoulder to drop, I need to start turning to my inside hip here, okay? So I'm gonna start turning, dropping my hip, his shoulder's dropping, which is in turn making his grip weaker, and eventually we're gonna get this separated. And then from here, there is a counter for him, we'll talk about that next, but a lot of people, you'll just catch them right here and finish, okay? Okay, so we're here. I caught his leg, I'm ready to attack, but no, he's seeing here. As soon as I let go, he comes to the top too. Okay. I hook his leg, and right away, as soon as I hook his leg, I start cutting to the middle, okay? As soon as I start cutting to the middle, I'm dropping to my hip. I want to make eye contact with the back of his head, okay? Now, you just have your arm. Why hook this leg, okay? I want some sort of control of this leg. I don't want Ulysses to walk this way, away from me, that way. I want to be able to trap this leg, okay? So if you're thinking of, again, like a closed guard Kimura, you want to do this. That'll be good if he does a forwards roll, but if he just walks away from me, that leg's not actually doing too much, okay? So I prefer for right now, if you're going to hook that leg. A good time to throw the leg across the back there is if you are going to go to closed guard off of this, okay, which is a possibility. Make sense? All right, cool. So for example, from here, Ulysses just unlocked his hands. He's going to come on top, okay? But he stays on his hip right here. Am I going to fall back and do this one? No. It's actually way harder if he stays on his hip like this. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back to the top. Okay? That's why I was so adamant about the last drill that he gets all the way up to his knees. Now you have to do the next one. Make sense? Got to differentiate those two. Okay? Initially, when I have this position, I'm trying to affect the width of his elbows. Okay? So, if you stay here, like a lot of you have already identified this is a weak position, okay? Are you like out of luck if you stay here? No, as long as you're active with a post here. Okay, you can fight against this, okay? So, how do I affect the width of his elbows from here? Well, it's my hips, okay? My outside hip is directly pushing into his elbow. So as I move here, watch this elbow. See, it's moving out further, further. When I have the space, I lock in. And as I'm moving out, it's affecting his grip. When this moves out further, the grip is starting to loosen, okay? Are you gonna break the grip here every time? Maybe not, okay? But it's gonna be enough with that hand grip to potentially start to separate this, okay? Now the very last thing here is a battle for the top position, even though he's in the Kimura, okay? Ulysses, can you bring your shoulders up? Just posture, yeah. We gotta stop that, all right? So at the very end, even if you're here, this is not enough. You should not be flat on your back whatsoever. Watch Ulysses' shoulder when I start to turn in. That's what I want. Once his shoulder gets into the mat, I got him. I know I can finish the Kimura here. You guys understand? So just try to focus on those little aspects, okay? We'll switch from that position, especially with that last detail with the direction we're guiding his shoulder. He has massive potential to scramble here, okay? The same way I Granby'd and did a forward roll to put him there, he can do a forward roll to escape that bottom Kimura, okay? So this is gonna lead to another top Kimura. So, we're here, and I make my shoulder roll. Okay, he comes to the top. Right away I'm cutting in, but as I cut in, he shoulder rolls too, okay? So now we're in what's called Kimura Trap, all right? Kimura Trap is its own position. There's a million things we could do here, okay? Lots of things that I prefer to do besides this, but again, we don't have enough time, basically. And again, the focus is just the correlation between the Kimura and the turtle escape, okay? So if we're staying in the mindset of a Kimura here, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna walk, so we're perpendicular to him, okay? Again, I'm not looking to do stuff like this. with the mobility he has here, that's going to be very difficult to do without him escaping, okay? We're looking at hip movement here. So, my knees are not going to make contact with the ground. Instead, I'm going to step over his head. I'm going to start to look away from him so I can start to build my base back up to my elbows and switch my hips here. And now, we can just go right back to the first one, okay? All right, okay? If I have nothing here, okay, I don't have that one-handed grip. Guys, I'm not gonna get tunnel vision here and lose track of the primary objective, which is to get out, okay? I've escaped turtle, that's great, okay, but he still has a little leverage over me. So I'm not gonna start doing stuff like this if I don't have a good Kimura, okay? I'm gonna go back to last week where if he unlocks and he goes to come up, I'm gonna focus on keeping my head higher than his and keeping a good position, okay? Again, this is the balance I've been talking about. When to attack, when to defend, when to stay in the middle of transitions, okay? That's a very hard skill to learn in grappling. When to take your foot off the pedal and go with the flow. You guys understand? Okay. So we're here, off the body lock at Granby. I kick over, he comes up, okay? I catch him here. I get the hand behind the back. His recourse to defend this is to start to shoulder roll over to this shoulder and kick his leg free with his other leg, which puts us in Kimura Trap, okay? So, I'm not gonna go super deep into Kimura Trap this week, okay? From here, all I want you to do is extend your arms so it's hard for him to turn into you. And from here, we're just gonna go right back to the first Kimura. So you're gonna walk your legs in, step over his head, and you're just gonna roll this hip in, point your head forwards, and that'll give you the ability to come back up for the first submission. Okay, to a seatbelt grip, okay? So when I know that his hands are gonna unlock and I feel this arm coming under, or over rather, I'm gonna take a good low defensive position here with my hand as close to my neck as possible so I'm ready to catch this arm and extend it away from me, okay? What you don't wanna do here unless you're an amazing athlete and you don't wanna headbutt him in the face, okay? I've seen that a lot. Is you don't, as the hand's coming over, you don't wanna explode up and you miss the timing and yep, bad stuff starts happening, okay? So when I feel that arm coming over, I'm gonna stay low, I'm gonna catch it. Now I'm free from this arm, now I can posture, okay? As I posture, I'm gonna bring this arm out. I'm gonna get the blade, again, in the same spot for that one-handed grip. So this is gonna be a review of the setup we used in the basics class, okay? To build base, I'm gonna step up with the opposite leg, okay? There's a lot of meat right here, so it's gonna be hard to step up. If I try to step up, he's gonna drive into me, and I'm gonna start getting into this game, okay? Now if he drives into me, I have a post, okay? That's gonna allow it for me to turn in easier, okay? So I start pivoting. As I pivot, watch, I'll start here. Don't do this, you're gonna lose his elbow, okay? You're gonna start here, and as you pivot, watch his arm, it's gonna start folding. And that's when I got him doing that, okay? It's a lot of pressure into his shoulder. This looks like a very loose position, but if you're doing this right, you need to be careful with your partner's shoulder because it's taking a lot of torque. Hindsight's 20/20 though. If you're the one taking this move, you shouldn't try to thrash and twist out of this. You might get out. You might get out also by blowing out your shoulder, so be careful, okay? So here, now from here, we can go back to the same finish, okay? Catch, okay? You can use that same idea for things like technical mount when you're about to get hit with a chair sit back take. Be ready to catch that hand so they don't lock their hands, okay? Here, turning. Remember, we're not gonna do this right now, but again, my head's higher than his head, so that means if he ever tries to stand up here, I'm gonna stand up too. Keep turning and facing him, okay? Is it always gonna go down like that? No, but later on when we talk about Kimuras with takedowns, we'll put that into better context, okay? Now from here you can review your finish. If you wanna let him come up and do all the stuff from the bottom too, you can feel free. Make sense? So Grant body locks me again, okay? From here, if he does not commit, go ahead to bringing this hand all the way over to my shoulder. Yes, like right here, I have nothing to defend against, okay? So if you guys remember last week, the first technique we did was a heavyweight roll, okay? So, again, that's gonna be on the opposite arm. So typically when he's looser with this arm, he's gonna have most of his control with this arm. That's where he's really dedicated, okay? So the heavyweight roll is headlocking the wrist, okay? When he drives in, that's when I'm going to turn out. Use this to reverse him and come to the top. And by the way, here, yes, you can still go for the Kimura. Okay, it's right there. Okay. Now, this time, yeah, he's taking a loose grip on this side. He's not committed to a body lock. He's not going for a seatbelt. I'm left with this arm. Okay, he's still staying tight to me. I go to headlock the wrist. I feel him pull away. I follow. I catch the wrist. I catch the elbow as I step up. Okay. Now from here, I'm going to start to turn in. However I see fit, and guide him to the mat. Then we can go for our same finishes. Make sense? All right, cool. I said at the beginning of class, like a big theme this week is like them not putting good pressure on you, or like you're doing such a good job of threatening on the bottom that the top person like kind of takes pressure off a little bit and bails. So like a lot of times, like you hit somebody with that heavyweight roll so many times, so often, you'll be like, all right, fuck this, I'm bailing out, turning away. Okay, if he does it a lot, yeah, face him, get up, great, good day. Okay. If he does it just enough to like resituate, okay, what we can do is again follow him and look to catch his elbow this time. Okay. Now, as we do that, we keep posturing, pummel through, and now we have the same attack on this side. Okay. Now you just step up with the opposite leg, keep turning in. Now this time, we already looked at the finish. If you want to review it, keep driving into him, put him to the mat, feel free. Ulysses at this point can still drive into me. So when he does, I'm going to sit down, hook his leg, and go right back to the other finishes. Okay, you can do this one, or you can have your partner roll. Okay. The whole class we've been going after the inside arm. That's the arm between us. Okay, that would be the inside Kimura. This time we're going for the outside arm, outside Kimura. Okay. We go for the heavyweight roll. He's starting to pull away a little bit. I catch the elbow instead of the wrist this week. Okay, I get that headlock here. Catch the wrist, come up, step up, turn towards him, finish one, or slide under, finish two, and if he rolls, again, same thing. That's where you can review the whole beginning of class. Make sense? All right, cool, let's go.